The author of our source text moved through the high-stakes worlds of government policy, academic philosophy, and theology at Oxford. By all outward metrics, he was a model of discipline and achievement. Yet beneath that public success, he carried a devastating, lifelong addiction to alcohol that frequently made his life unmanageable. He captures the confusion of this dual life through two possible epitaphs. One mourns the talent ruined by his addiction. The other marvels at how much he achieved despite it. Both are true, reflecting the split reality of many who operate at a high level while struggling with a behavioral flaw. For decades, he cycled through periods of high competence and bouts of total self-destruction. During his binges, the civilized academic would disappear, replaced by a persona capable of amnesiac viciousness and cruelty toward those he loved most. High-functioning addiction is often dismissed as a simple failure of willpower. However, the author describes his drinking as a desperate, destructive form of medicine, a way to cope with internal pressures that he felt unable to manage through any other means. This perspective highlights the agonizing dilemma faced by the families of addicts. They are caught between a genuine desire to show compassion for a sick relative and a justifiable fury at the selfishness and harm caused by the addict's behavior. Interventions often rely on reminding the addict of how much they are loved or how much they have to live for. Paradoxically, these reminders of responsibility frequently backfire. They add to the weight of expectation that the addict is already struggling to carry. Guilt and traditional love-based pleas can increase the internal burden of responsibility. For an addict, this added pressure often triggers a greater need to escape, ironically accelerating the cycle of relapse. The roots of this cycle often lie in the strain of being sober. The author describes the psychological weight of maintaining his public persona, the constant pressure to say yes to every demand, and the pervasive feeling that he was never truly good enough, regardless of his achievements. This chronic need to overperform and meet the needs of others creates an unsustainable level of internal tension. Over months of sobriety, the effort required to stay good enough for everyone else builds toward a breaking point. The relapse serves as a release valve. Drinking offers a temporary escape into a state of anarchic irresponsibility, allowing the individual to finally set down the burden of expectations and hide from the demands of their life. While destructive, the binge is a survival mechanism. It provides the only way the addict knows how to prevent a total psychological collapse when the pressure of their fabricated identity becomes too heavy to bear. At his lowest point, the author realized he was suffering from more than just alcohol poisoning. He was dying of a paralyzing despair brought on by three specific types of emptiness in his life. The first void is a loss of identity. When retirement or failure strips away professional roles, the individual is left with the terrifying feeling that there is no longer anybody to be. The second void is severe isolation. Merely visiting friends is a poor substitute for true integration into a community. Without the routine social life found in a workplace or a shared home, it is easy to slip into days of total silence. The third void is a lack of purpose. This is the absence of a project, a constructive and absorbing activity that allows a person to make a useful contribution to the world. If these three voids remain empty, removing the alcohol leaves the individual with no foundation. Without a new identity, a community, and a purpose, the individual is virtually certain to return to the only escape they have left. Modern treatment often relies on high-priced residential rehabs. These facilities frequently demand absolute obedience to dogma and total abstinence, yet they often fail to address the environment the patient will eventually return to. The data shows the limitations of this model. Despite the high financial costs, the long-term success rate for these programs is roughly 20%. After 2 years, 80% of those treated will have relapsed. This failure is illustrated by the story of David Binns, a highly intelligent vicar who successfully completed rehab. When he returned to the same lonely environment that initially drove him to drink, he relapsed and ultimately took his own life. Effective therapy requires a transformation of the individual's actual reality. Taking away a coping mechanism while leaving a person in a static, lonely environment creates a situation where the struggle to carry on can become unbearable. Recovery involves more than the subtraction of a drug. It requires the deliberate work of building a new life from the ground up to fill the holes that the addiction previously occupied. While traditional therapy often looks backward at past trauma, the emerging model of recovery coaching focuses on what lies ahead. Recovery coaching identifies the life skills the individual already possesses. It asks what kind of future they actually want to inhabit and helps them develop the practical tools needed to reach it. This approach shifts the focus from being a broken patient to being someone capable of shaping their own days. By concentrating on future positives, it helps the individual build a sense of momentum. Alcohol provides a temporary, delusional feeling of being good enough. This is the core power of addiction. It offers a momentary shield against the sense that existence is pointless or that one's life is worthless. Lasting recovery requires finding a more secure way to achieve that feeling. The author suggests that the solution to the fear of not being good enough is to engage in the daily work of actually becoming better, pursuing honesty, humility, and kindness. Addiction reflects a profound crisis of meaning. The only secure cure is the daily effort required to construct a reality that you no longer need to escape.